Hello, creative community and kind folks. Welcome to RPG with BBJ. Sorry about the delay. Sorry about not being able to get online. We're going to talk about weather, more specifically like storms and unsettled weather when it comes to humidity and heat. Because here in the United States, and of course around the world, but uh, this type of weather system is pretty normal here, and it has an effect on electronics and internet and air conditioning and all that kind of good stuff. So we're going to talk about that in terms of world building and tabletop role playing games because I had to throw out everything else because I couldn't get on that time. Lots of rebooting. So first, let's get past our intro, and that allows us to get our feet up, put a snack together, and just have a general conversation. And yeah, I'm not going to hold you guys too long about this, but it is interesting about world building and weather, how often it isn't used, but when it is, it really shapes the context of like culture and society and economics. And I think it's something maybe we often overlook when it comes to tabletop role playing games and just creativity in general. But first, again, intro give you guys a time to put your feet up, get your snacks, things like that, and and get into the show. Oh, I hate being a one man show sometimes.
Yeah. No, 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 no. It's still me. It's still I'm still here and it's still me. I'm in the same place. Just wasn't able to get online because my wife even works from home as well. So when we have internet issues, it's rough. And her home office is less than 10 minutes away from the home, which is really cool. But anyway, and this is a reason for the context of today's episode. I had a there was some AI video out there that has been going on, and it really struck a nerve, and I was going to do it. But the problem is that if you have blackouts and brownouts, you can't do it. So with the streaming software, if it spikes into the red, then there's just no way I could. I mean, I was just even starting the stream would have not been possible. So heat waving. Now, for context, let's get some temperatures here. See, uh, let's do some conversions here. Here in the states, let's see what the temperature has been. Let's see between. I'm gonna go 85 to. Oh, did it? Oh, it won't do it. So I'll go 95. Why? Okay. Oh, it took out my numbers lock. No wonder. Okay. So, um, recently it's been hovering in the 90s. I'm going to call like 95 here, right across the Ohio Valley, and that's like a 35 in Celsius, and I mean 95 degrees Fahrenheit. Sorry, and that's sweeping. Now, mind you, it's not just the heat, right? Because um, there are places in the United States where you get a very dryish heat, not a lot of wind, and while it's brutal, at least the humidity isn't so bad. But what we get here in the mid portions of the United States, and I'm kind of mid north in the Ohio Valley, we get weather from the south and north, and it flows together. So if we get humidity, a lot of moisture coming from the ocean, it sweeps across the United States. It makes it humid, which is that feeling of like it's it's like standing in a room when someone has a hot shower on, or if you've ever been near saunas or what's the other things, jacuzzis in an enclosed space, and you get that moisture that runs down the walls and drips off of plastic and such. That's the kind of thing. And what's really brutal about it is the the heat. If the heat doesn't release when the sun goes down, then it just builds for the next day. So sometimes it's not even the heat in the day. It's what is the temperature, what's the feeling like overnight, so that you get a kind of a break in it. You know, you get this psychological like shattering, like, okay, ooh, it's cool enough, you can open up the windows and then start the next day. But um here now, where it's so much humidity that if you've got air conditioning here, there's just like moisture dripping off the windows. You can't see outside. We've got fog. It's crazy. Yeah. Blackouts and brownouts. Blackout, of course, we understand that. Blackout means no power at all. Brownouts mean that uh, the 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 evidence of the brownout is that you have like flickering lights, or you understand that if you start turning on more and more electronics, and heavy draining mechanical devices around your house, you'll notice that things will start to like you'll automatically know, like we have a loft. So I broadcast the show in a loft. So it's a room without walls. So I can look down on the first floor and things like that. And in this room, of course, we've got like widescreen TV and computers and fans and things like that. And you start to turn those things on, and it's just like, and you're like, oh shit. Um, yeah, yeah, it's pretty common, and because I'm sure you remember, like Michigan, four seasons is pretty common here. In most of the United States, you get a full four seasons, and what I mean by that, it's like when it's summertime, it's brutally hot. When it's winter, it's cold and frigid and snow, and then fall, spring and fall, spring, you get the spring showers kind of thing going on, and the growth, and then fall and the trees change. So we get a full four seasons, and yeah, it's pretty bad. But I bring this up because weather is the kind of thing that we in some ways we ignore because we're used to it, but at the same time, the preparations of weather, how weather affects our mood, our clothing choices, where we go, how far we travel from home or work or pleasure, the kind of things that we choose to do. Hey, it's hot outside. Let's do something that's internal. That's cooler. Now, the United States is very, very inundated with air conditioning. So we have um, whole house, whole home, whole building, whole structure air conditioning, and we're very much proud of it. It's like it's so bad that we 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 statesiders tend to have issues with places that don't have true air conditioning. And I don't mean like cool air. There are some people that crank up air conditioning like it's like they're trying to create one of those ice sculpture bars up in the frigid north. It's crazy. Sorry, Mike says here in the Maritimes, yep, weather can range from -20 Celsius to +40 Celsius. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like I just pulled up a conversion. Like our 95 here is like 35 degrees Celsius. Like, yeah, it's pretty brutal. Anyway, he says from blizzard to hurricane with everything in between. Living on the coast and in the path of the Gulf Stream means chaos. And we're a tabletop role playing world building channel, and it just made me think about that. Like those of us that have a true four seasons, if we think about it, our clothing choices are truly four seasons. Like I know, hey Mike, and I remember the Shy Squad. It was in Germany now, if I'm correct, and was here in Michigan. We have like thin jackets, raincoats, winter coats with certain types of linings. Sometimes we have the double coat where I mean where it's like it's a coat that has a lining that we can zip in or like button into, and we can pull the lining out because to make it a thinner coat. And we know that, hey, it's going to be cold, but it won't have moisture, so I'll wear one jacket. But then the raincoat doesn't breathe. Yeah. Yep, yep. Mike says my basement is so cold in the winter that I can keep my non-dairy drinks downstairs on the floor. Oh, there's a pretty common thing for people like in the fall winter seasons for people to get like cases of drink, and they'll just leave it out their back steps or front porch, or like they leave it outside. And there are some places that are so cold that you need to leave it in the refrigerator to keep it warm enough so that it doesn't freeze and break and crack or something. Because yeah, it's crazy how the weather can affect the way we do. Yep, 3-part jacket. Yep, yeah, yeah, and that's a real thing, right? It's like I've got my winter hat, I've got my rain cap, and then it's then you go through the mental calculations of um take it but don't need it, or need it and don't have it, right? It's better. What is it? Better to better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. Or something like that, right? It's like, oh, where's the car? Throw the umbrella in the background. 3-part jacket is the mainstay of every contractor here. Yep, my postal uniform is like that too. We've got a zip-in layer system. So we've got two types of jackets you can wear that are like the thinner jackets. One is more ripstop, and the other one is fleece. And both of those jackets are the lining for another jacket, which is like our raincoat. That's like rainproof, but it doesn't breathe a lot. But it's still really good. You can zip it inside of that, and then either of those three versions of the jacket zips into a winter coat. Sorry, it's going to be very hot today, and you got to fuel up on the liquids. You got to hydrate beforehand. Yeah, the future belongs to those who prepare for it today. Yep. Shai says, AC not, plus 90 degrees is the only reason I'm not bringing my baby to Kentucky until October. Yeah, Tennessee, October, and you start going south, more southern in the southern states, and it gets brutal. Because my parents run AC full blast, and it's borderline freezer inside, plus sweating outside is equal bad for the baby. Yeah, that's such a stateside Americanism of the like blasting the AC, and I don't mean just like cool. I mean blasting it. As a person of a certain age that goes on cruising, that goes cruising a lot, they have these coolers in the in the cruise line rooms, and it's not a full refrigerator, right? It's a cooler. It's not a refrigerator, and sometimes us a statesizer. My wife loves a glass topped off with ice, and it's like frigid on the teeth and things like that. Yeah, it's a stateside thing that we just love, and unfortunately, we don't have. I mean, I guess we're seeing it a little bit more now. Um, Outside of the states, they have these smaller air conditioning units that are like AC per room, so you can like if you're in one room but you need to go to you're going to go to bed, you can turn the air conditioning on in the bedroom and close that room and just use the power and air conditioning for that room, whereas you can start to power down where you've been at, like the kitchen or family room or whatever. But in the states, we normally have what is an air conditioning unit outside the house, and it blows through the entire home or structure, like a building or supermarket or something like that. So we those people that live in the hot states tend to go from building to building, car to car, getting your car started up, putting shields in the thing. I'm going to get more into the unsettled weather, which is kind of where I wanted to focus on. But yeah, better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. I say that before every road trip. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, that's a mantra. my wife is used to me now, but she's just like, we're only going a couple of hours. We don't need to think. And I'm like, yes, we do. Pack it. Yeah. Listen, just leave it in the car. Like, well, we don't. I don't think we're going to need a raincoat or a it's like whatever. It won't hurt to take it, so let's take it. Yeah. Yeah, Mike says, "Yep, weather as world building informs a lot: culture, clothing, food, religions or cults, travel, flora, fauna. Absolutely." And as a matter of fact, thank you very much for even bringing that up because, um, like you said, religion, cults, the way we think of things, like just even there's some very common images we see, and that sometimes even bring us joy. Where you see a most adult clothing for like say a thunderstorm and rain is like drab, brown, gray, black. It's just drab. And then you see a kid, and the kid's dressed in bright yellow and pinks and blues. And then you'll see this kid do their version of a giant leap in the air and jump down in a pool of water and just like splash in it, and all the adults are just like got their collars up and are just like you know what I mean, and the kids are like, yay, rain. They're like drinking the rain and and all that kind of stuff. And it's kind of funny because it kind of gives me, when I see it, it's kind of joyous because I'm like, well, at least somebody's enjoying it, right? You get the pets that like the dogs that go outside and it's like raining and it's like they're chasing the rain, but then you got the other dogs and they're just, you could see their attitude is just like, my fur is soaked. I hate this. I gotta go out and go pee, and I gotta take my human with me and whatnot. And it's kind of fun to see that. But even those little things that aren't um, that aren't especially, I want to say, dynamic, really bring weather to life. And there's a lot of animals that change their behaviors based on the weather. Um, birds flocking because they're getting away from the storms. You maybe there's noise of animals in the background, and then some of those noises will subside or increase, or they exchange because some animals come out, others don't. When it rains, the worms, they don't want to drown, so the worms come up out of the ground, which means the birds and other animals, deer and such that we have in our neighborhood and whatnot, will start eating up those worms. And it's a lot of little things that happen when the weather rolls in. Uh, that's kind of cool. And it's the preparation before storms. And I'm going to focus on storms because there's lots of weather. You got heat waves that are drier. We've got thunder and lightning. We've got snow. But I'm going to focus more on like the what happens before, during, and after it rains. One of the things that we get here in the Ohio Valley, we're kind of on the way the weather systems go from the north and south that meet together here in the middle states, is that many of us have hurricane and tornado watches. So like Mike's saying, like he's on the coast, so he gets more of the hurricane, the straight line, not straight line. Those hurricane forces that come off the ocean, and then more inland, you get more tornado from the hot and cold weather that meets together, and it'll do that spin. So it's not that hurricanes don't spin, but tornadoes tend to be land based and hurricanes tend to be ocean based, but they're still pretty brutal. And a lot of those storms are fueled by warm air, and you get that warm cold layers that kind of meet together, and it makes this like dynamo effect. And the preparations beforehand, hey, you got to run to the store, you got to get some errands, people want to batten down the hatches. Here in the States, we have plenty of news coverage of getting ready for floods with sandbags, stores and buildings that are specifically designed. Shutters literally meant a thing and have a reason for having shutters. The traditional two-fold shutters have been replaced with like metal ones that are gates and things like that. But yeah, battening down those hatches in certain neighborhoods in your world building, city states closing gates and opening up, I don't know, sluice gates for floodwaters to travel through, things like that is just I think would be very cool to throw into the background, because maybe the players are on a heist, but the storm is now affecting maybe they could hide in a crowd of the bazaar, but with the storm coming, the bazaar closes down, and now there's no people to hide in. There's no crowds, and the guardians of this region, they're not there looking for criminals. They're basically looking for people to make sure they're off the streets, they get home safely. Maybe there's elderly people they're looking for. Maybe there's some forms of homeless or unhoused people that the guardians of the town are like, hey, can we shuffle you into a safe place and a shelter just to make sure. And then they see the player characters and they're like, what are you doing walking around for? You know, Chai says unsettled weather, like out in the wilderness. How about weather on other planets? The same thing, the same thing. Listen. If we move to Mars, we're going to have to deal with nearly half the globe being overrun by dust storms that might last months, and terraforming may have a significant impact on that as well. And we often don't really even think about that. Like, let's go with Star Wars. Like, remember, Dagobah is the proverbial jungle planet. And there's a logical world building reason for having one biome worlds, but if you have a jungle world, well, where's all the moisture coming from? Is it just a giant greenhouse effect, or do they have? Is it a mixture of typhoons and tsunamis and the downpours and those seasons on that planet? I mean, do they have horrible rainstorms, or is it just a lot of moisture, like in a greenhouse, over and over and over again? I don't know, but it would be kind of cool if they did have that kind of thing. Yeah, weather killing crops must have been a big one in ye olden days. You could have fantasy cults praying to weather gods for the harvest. Of course, and a lot of that. I mean, listen, even till today, your non-religious people will. There is this, like, let me hedge my bets and pray to the weather gods, right? Like, hey, we're going to go on a boat tour, pray to the gods of the sea, we're going to go on a road trip, pray to the gods of the journey and whatnot. And even in sometimes we often ignore the idea of a pantheon of gods in a fantasy game in which you don't have to air quotes worship them as a cleric in a classic Dungeons and Dragons case. But the fact is that, before you go on a boat, everybody might be looking at everyone like you need to throw at least one copper over the edge, right? Like, we're not sailing unless everybody like gives over to the gods of the ocean. And the players might be thinking like, I don't care, I don't worship them. And they're going, it doesn't matter. It's out of respect. Like, the gods are real. Give them an offering, and we're safe. Otherwise, get off my boat, right? And that kind of conversation. And the boat people were like, I don't like, believe you me, I'm sure, especially when we start talking about like the conflict that we hear about the Greek and Roman gods ahead. There's a lot of mortals that were given like big middle finger fu to the gods and goddesses of that time, but they were powerful beings that they gave tribute to or honored or lied to or were jealous of and whatnot. And I think we often lose sight of that fact. Like, if there's like gods of the mountains or something, and you're going through the mountain passes, and it's like, hey guys, before we go on and we put the fire out from our camp, we're collecting all our stuff, let's leave a little tribute, because we don't want, I don't know, the gods of the mountains to start fighting again and have these landslides and things that we often hear about. We want them to be nice and passive and sleep so we can get by. Sorry. And I think that's one of those things that's like, it seems minor, but I think it's an excellent touchstone, an excellent thing to think about in the back of the head, to add a little bit of add a little bit more life, especially when you have your classic. Come on, we have our classic goblinoids, and we go through the argument of whether, who do they represent and whatnot. But if the goblinoids are like, they're wearing the leaves because the leaves are waterproof, and they're wearing them over their shoulders, and they got these cloaks of these leaf-like cloaks that the orcs and all the elves wear, and it's like, it's not the special purview of the elves. It's just a special purview of everyone that lives in this rainforest when the storms come through for these seasons. And of course, the halflings and the orcs and the elves and the dwarves and the tieflings or whatever, they all wear these uh, leaf-like cloaks to keep themselves dry, or at least to keep the storms out, or something like that. Mike says there is a reason real world weather gods existed in our past. Weather informs how we interpret our reality. So a culture might sacrifice materials or people to prevent the weather from harming them. And you could have a whole guild or cult or faction related just to the weather itself. Even though they might not be assassins, the sexy thing, right? Assassins, warriors. But if you've got that one person or that one group of people that can go up on that hill and they stay there for a couple of weeks to keep the weather gods from flooding their city state because it used to happen in the past, those people are pretty important. Those are pretty, and the one person that stands up on a hill that ends up getting friggin' struck by lightning to save everybody else might be a hero. They're not a warrior. They don't go out to war, but they stand up on that hill holding that rod, getting ready to get struck by lightning. Maybe they become electrical storm ghosts or something like that. Spook says nothing draws out a news report like being able to stand on the rubble of someone's life to report on a storm's aftermath. I don't know why. That's what is it with the maybe okay, I'm sorry. Let me get a point. I'm sure it happens around the world, but we stateside love, air quotes, love to have the news reporter in the raincoat with the logo of their affiliate station standing there in the pre, during, and aftermath of these major storms. And it's like, I don't know if that person, cuts like 7 years off of their advancement in the journalism. I'm not sure if they get paid hazard pay. I don't know what it is, but like it is so common, especially along the East Coast, Florida, the Carolinas, um, all around the Gulf. And it's like there's, like you said, there's people standing there in the earthquake zones, the tornado zones, the hurricane zones, the flood zones. They've got the hood up. They're like screaming into the microphone. They are like asking people how they feel on their worst day of their life as they're trying to gather together the elements of what they've assembled with their life and whatnot. And they're just like, how do you feel? You know, microphone in the face. And it's like, what do you mean how I feel? Don't make me smack you. There's always the classic image that they want to capture of a first responder saving a child or a pet or something, in a boat or pulled out of rubble or something. Always trying to catch that one glory shot of that encompasses the destruction and the aftermath. And you're so right there, Spook. You are absolutely right. They will stand there and point at the rubble, and of course, somewhere in the background, someone has rescued an American flag, and they'll hang that up somewhere and whatnot. I will admit that there's something about the traumatic. Really, kitties? There's something about the traumatic events of of a storm and the weather that really brings people together as a community, and how the I suppose as we as we delve into our AI, social media, everybody's evil, people don't care, apathetic kind of personalities, that there's something about the weather that makes people join together without needing a pat on the back, no money exchange. doing it for the good reason, and just there's a lot of unsung heroes and a lot of people who don't consider themselves to be heroes that do a thing, and it's really awesome to see. I remember when that old Subaru sports car called a SVX, uh, um, and it went off the road. And f- drive be damned, I was up in northern Chicago, and I think about four trucks stopped to get me off the road, and everybody just helped me off the road, towed me off the road, and they left in a. You would have thought they were like ghosts. It was crazy. Mike says weather also determines travel. Your preparations for a temperature jaunt across a grassy plain is vastly different from a sweaty slog through a hot jungle or a frigid journey over frozen tundra. Yeah, and mind you, listen, it's not just you prepping. If you got a bunch of people you got to prep with, sometimes some of those people you don't even take with you, whether for morale, for their determination, for their ability to um, their skill and ability. I mean, we all live in not all of us. Many of us that live in big cities, how many times have we said, "Uh-oh, it's about to rain. People don't know how to drive in the rain. People don't know how to drive in the snow." Right? I mean, that's a very common thing. You go from city to city and you just roll your eyes like, "Really? A couple of drops of water and everybody like freezes in place because they don't know what to do." And then you get the overdrivers. It's like raining and snowing, and they're like hitting like 15 miles an hour or 10 kilometers above the speed limit, and you're just shaking your head like, really? And then later on, you see them have spun out because you know it's a curvy road, and they spin out and they're off the road, and you're like, you know what I mean? As you go by with the gaper, what is it, gaper delay, the rubberneckers, whatever. There's a bunch of things they call them. Mike says, in the end, it's about food and water. Yep. How people gather both is 100% weather based. Knowing how they sustain themselves determines the harshness of their outlook. And also, some things become easier to get after, before, during, and after a weather event rather than making it harsher. For example, if the ground is soft enough, you can go get those, what are they called? Oh, carrots, rice, potatoes, yams, tubers, uh, what is it? Beets, radishes. Oh, I thought, okay, that's all right. I'm at my limit. There's a lot of things that people will harvest because the ground is soft, because it's muddier. I was talking about those worms. There are people who do backbreaking work that harvest worms in the ground, and it's pretty daunting. And there are some people that like they specialize in, up here comes the rain. That means this animal or plant or vegetable or something is going to be easier to harvest, and it's the worst possible weather to do it in. Yeah, weather is often a main character in a suspense or scary movie. Sure is. Yeah, because what's one of there's a number of tropes in slasher scary horror movies, but one of them is um, bounded location. Every horror movie has a bounded location. You're on a plane, you're in a cabin, you're stuck in a building, you're trapped underground, you're in a sewer, you're in a cave system, you're trapped. And weather happens to almost always have an effect in a scary movie because it'll say the roads are washed out, the river's gone, the it's like the snows have pulled in, those kind of things. Like, what is it, 30 Days of Night? Hey, listen, it's going to be 30 days of nighttime. The sun's not going to come up. And oh, by the way, any communications and travel between here and there is going to stop because it's going to be the most frigid point of being in the Arctic. Or, yeah, I think it was in the Arctic when that movie took place. And it's a main character. And also, um, we can attribute, because we're world builders, right? We love fantastical things, even science fiction. And sometimes there are some people or technologies or magic or monsters or animals that are brutal in this weather that normally you would just ignore. Like, for example, Florida has an issue with alligators, and it's just a natural thing. Snakes, alligators, lizards are a normal thing in Florida, to the point that they even tell you not to walk your small pets near um, depressions that have water in them. But what happens in Florida is that if they get enough rain, alligators and crocs, and I can't remember which one or which is natural to generally Florida. But if the water level rises, for the most part, those they aren't dangerous to people because they're more sedentary than a little bit. But if the water level rises, they'll move from place to place, and they will cross from one place to another for better food sources, temperature control for their skin, and things like that. So you got to be real careful. That's why there's a lot of uh, shallow waters that have fences around them on purpose, just to make sure the alligators can't climb up, cross, and then go into another place. And they'll get into swimming pools and think places like that, small parks that have numerous lakes around them and streams and rivers and little ponds. Yeah. And that's not just related to Florida, but that's just in general. Mike says root vegetables are a big thing in northern cultures, whereas fruits dominate hotter climates. Yep, food again. And let's be real, weather determines what booze we make. Yeah, yeah. If you take a look at booze, I'm gonna call it up. Let's see. Let's see. What? Okay, let's see. List of fruits and veggies used to make alcoholic drinks. Let's see if we get a. Let's see if we can get a long. Let's see if we get a long group of this. No, not AI mode. I don't want cocktails. No, not cocktails. I want. Let's see. I gotta reword it. There we go. Okay, okay. All right. So, fruits and vegetables are utilized in various ways to create alcoholic beverages, primarily through fermentation or as a flavoring agent in infusions. Yes, I was primarily thinking about the base of the alcohol. So of course we got grapes for winemaking, apples and cider. Yep, berries such as strawberries, raspberries, blackberries, blueberries can be fermented. Anything that you can ferment, basically. Cherries, peaches, other fruits, watermelon, guava, lemon, pineapple, mango, coconut, pomegranate. And a lot of these are tropical fruits, right? Like in tropical areas, you'll see a lot of the fruits and vegetables will be above ground. Where, like you said, in northern climates, maybe the ground is warmer and those rooted vegetables and things are warmer in the ground, or at least they can be. I can't think of the right description for it. Let's see, passion fruit, bananas, yeah, citrus fruits, apples, vegetables. Let's see, potatoes for vodka, yep, pumpkins for pumpkin beer, carrots, cucumbers, beets, cucumbers used in cocktails like vodka tonics. Yeah, beets can be used to create cocktails like the beet gin and tonic. Kale, bell peppers, radish, celery, ginger. Yeah, yeah, yep. Fermentation. There's a longer list. It didn't give me a longer list, but um, it goes on and on and on, right? Rye. Damn, my brain is not working. Potatoes, rye, rice. Oh, there's so much more. There's so much more. Cane sugar. Yeah, rice for sake. Yep, that's what I was thinking of. Um, yeah. As long as you can ferment it, as long as you get those sugars out of it. Yeah. Was there a weather mechanic in that American have you went over February? That seems like a system that would consider seasons. Oh, you mean, are you referring, a spook, are you referring to Coyote and Crow? as a tabletop game, or am I thinking am I thinking a little too deeply on that? Plantains. Oh yeah. Those are the more fibrous green bananas. They're like shorter but wider, thicker, I guess. Plantains that are often like sweetened and fried and things like that. Grains typically beer or whiskey. Yep. Yeah, grains, rye, wheat, rice, potatoes. Oh man, I'm missing some corn. Damn it, corn is used. Yeah, yeah, we love ourselves some drinking, don't we? Yeah, sugar cane or beets for rum. Rum, yep, sugar cane. Yeah. Boring disappointment. Vodka is almost always made from grain. This potato thing was from ye olden days. I bet there's some done today. But yes, you're right. I mean, the idea of making alcohols itself is in of itself a recipe of sorts. So yeah. So I mean, there's some commonalities, but I'm sure every every brewer for wine and beer and anything in between has their own recipes and what they're able. Yeah, coyote and crow. Yeah, coyote and crow is the um indigenous um cyber techno mystic tabletop role playing game that takes place if the states were never colonized, and yeah, it has a weather system in there, and it has a seasonal system in it. There's another game that does a really great job at seasons called Dead Air Seasons. I have the game, but let's see if I can find it. Dead Air. See if I can find an image. There it is. There's a game called Dead Air Seasons, and it is made by. It uses a system called Monad Echo, which is a pretty interesting like game, and it's based off of all things, which it's surprising it didn't get that much attention, at least far as I'm concerned. Um, it didn't get a lot of attention from a game from World Anvil. World Anvil is at one point was like the place to go for a database to create your own world building. And Dead Air Seasons is, let's see if I can describe it. It is The Last of Us, but not. I guess would be the way to put it. Yeah, it's not The Last of Us. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Yeah. There are organisms that break down starches to turning them into sugars. Yep, that can be turned into alcohol. That is also good at killing bacteria, so you don't lose a limb. Yeah, that's why grog, um, water mixed with thin alcohol was always used because the alcohol would kill the bacteria in it, and it so so our early, how would you say this? Our early explorers were always half drunk. Spooks, I could not recall his name to save my life. Yeah, I get that way all the time. Yeah. Plantains come in a wide variety of types. Yeah, bananas are just a hybrid of two or more types that are sterile, sadly. So become a genetic monoculture. Yeah, yeah. I forgot about cactus. Cactus. Yeah, we have a place around the corner that does cactus foods and drinks. T says that is why they keep having to breed a new type because a fungus or something will threaten to kill off a mono. Yep, yeah. That's the problem with having like literal monocultures. Meaning, and I'm referring to cultures as in seeds and materials to grow other fruits and vegetables from them. You don't want to have one specific type. The original artificial flavor of a banana is the flavor of what was known as the Big Jim banana that went extinct already. Wow. and was why the bananas in skits causing someone to slip and fall was a thing. I didn't know that. That's cool. Mike is so right. Mike says, man has endeavored to take his environment and say, how can I get me drunk or high? Yeah. You know what? I almost want to say, I know we're making fun a little bit of like the alcoholic thing, but if we want to get a little deeper into the culture, it's kind of alcoholic consumption is like it's the award system and reward system of dominating the culture that an environment we're in. I mean, if you really think about it, it's like once you're able to make an alcohol of the thing that you're in and the environment that you're in, let's say humanity, let let's remove ourselves from historic Earth and just be travelers around a planet like Earth. And we go to these places, the the hottest regions, the highest places, the lowest places. We're on coastlines and we're going through rivers and we're crossing the land and whatnot. And it feels like alcohol is like the reward. It's the man, my ass got to the highest part of this mountain. I was able to survive the earthquakes. I was able to get through the swamps. And then boom, I'm here. I dominated. Not only have I learned to survive, I've learned to thrive. And alcohol really comes from thriving more so than survival, right? Because survival means you got to be on point 24/7. And the more leisure time you can carve, an hour, maybe 3 hours. Now I've got leisure time for a day, 24 hours, now a week's time. Now we can have more leisure time. You see in a lot more leisure communities the ability to engage in those kind of things. And I think that's actually a good thing, right? Like that's where it might be a staple of a community where you're able to exchange food and alcohols and smokes and leisure event things where you have more diplomacy involved. When it's just pure survival, you don't even have time to sit down and start having, or at least it's very difficult for you to do so. Yeah, honey is honey one of the few biological things we can consume that doesn't age? I mean, that you can hold forever. It just crystallizes. I think honey's like one of the few things we can consume as a food that can last, you know, dozens of years, unrefrigerated, you know. Wow. Wow, that's awesome. Using weather as a template, consider a variant of our honeybee that makes a variant of mead. Those dangerous giant honey wasps may kill you, but the honey gets you high. So let's go. You know what? We have a habit of doing that too, right? Like a lot of the things we enjoy in life are surrounded by some of the most dangerous things in the world. I mean, listen. We decided to for some strange reason, we decided to domesticate felines and lupines and put them in our houses. That's weird. People still have snakes and lizards and spiders and things as pets, so that's not too far off for like you know there might be a special honey that's needed in those what are the Dungeons and Dragons monster? Is it the Sturges or whatever? The Sturges, which are basically like dangerous, what is it, fantasy version of mosquitoes. But there might be some kind of like very dangerous honeybee or something, or a version of it that just is like, we need to get that honey because it's worth a lot of money, or it could be very instrumental for like magic and or hell, just basically honey itself. That's so cool. I've never heard of a Japanese hornet, but I'm sure there is one. What's up there, M? What's going on? Apparently, if you survive being stung too, you wish you hadn't. Wow. Yeah. Oh, mushrooms. Yeah. Yeah. Psychotropic mushrooms. Absolutely. Underdark needs the party too. Yeah. I mean, like, and having a guild that works in these weather related regions is actually kind of important too for the survival of a community. I mean, we know that any warrior culture probably has like 2 to 15 other people in the background to keep that warrior culture going. And a lot of that is filled in with people that can navigate through weather, the farmers, the harvesters, the alchemists, the apothecaries, what's some other names? The herbalists, the leadership people, the ones that care for the young, the builders, the designers. You know, there's a lot of people in the background that are needed for a prosperous warrior culture that can still operate and create that downtime that humanity really needs to expand its culture, to have that leisure time to get into things like religion and teaching and meditation and music and things like that. Still some, and not just leaves, tree bark, roots, even just wood, boil them up, ferment them, all kinds of extraction methods. Yeah. Somebody in the jungle found out about them all in prehistoric times. Yeah. That's one of the things that it just left the top of my head. There are people who are there's a term given for people who are ancient survivalists that want to keep the knowledge alive of how a thing is done when you're in the wild. There's whole YouTube channels dedicated to it. Some of those YouTube channels are basically fake because they do a lot of that stuff in the background. But yeah, there are a lot of people who are just like, we've lost more than a little bit in terms of our ability to cure diseases and um, the creative methods. The 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 most famous one is the building of the pyramids, right? Like the accuracy, the mathematical accuracy of building the pyramids that for some reason with our modern technology it's very difficult for us to replicate, and they're wondering how did ancient people do it without modern day things. Cocoa leaves were known for allowing someone to survive brutal running to deliver info in South America, while those who did not have one to chew on leaves would die of exhaustion. Yeah, that's where the cocoa leaves, where cocaine came from. That they would use the leaves and it would like boost your adrenaline or something. I'm not sure exactly the medical reason for it, but yes, you are absolutely right. They would chew on the leaves and people would die of exhaustion without them, but it would allow that person to push just a little bit further. And then of course, fast forward to modern day, and we got Scarface and things like that. Yeah, it's just or disgusting. GJ, like that super expensive coffee beans that are eaten and pooed out by the monkeys or some such. Supposedly their digestion tract mellows it out. Yeah, yeah, yeah. What's the name of it? Uh, butt monkey. Uh, uh, coffee cost and um, let's see. It's called. What are the butt monkey thing? Thank you, AI. The AI says you're likely referring to. Actually, you know what? I'll put it up here. I'll put it up here. Um, says you're likely referring to the Kopi Luwak, a highly sought after and expensive coffee known as civet or kivit coffee, or colloquially monkey butt coffee. Yeah. Cultivation and production, animal digestion. The Kopi Luwak is made from coffee cherries that have been eaten and partially digested by the Asian palm civet or kivit, a small tree-dwelling mammal. The enzyme action. The civets or kivets' digestive enzymes interact with the coffee beans, supposedly changing their chemical makeup and reducing bitterness. The civet passes the undigested beans in its droppings. These beans are then collected, thoroughly washed, dried, roasted, and packaged. It is known as the world's most expensive coffee due to its unique production process and limited supply. Prices vary depending on whether the beans come from wild or farmed civets. farmed up to $600 a pound. Wild can fetch up to 3,000 US dollars per pound. A single cup of Kopi Luwak can cost as much as $80 in some establishments. And the high price is due to the rarity and the labor intensive process of collecting and processing the beans. While some consider it a digestive process to enhance the coffee's flavor, concerns have been raised about the ethical treatment, of course, of civets used in farmed Kopi Luwak production, as some animals are kept in poor conditions. Yep, of course, because uh, humanity, if it's worth doing, it's worth overdoing. If you believe grade schoolers in the 80s and 90s, Twinkies are also good. A good we could keep forever and not worry about it going bad. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. So funny. Yeah, Twinkies, yeah. Mm-mm-mm. All kinds of trees are only known by their botanical names. I collect them, but I am afraid to try most of them. Yeah. Insert a jungle culture that captures live tree frogs so they can lick him. Yep, that's right. Can lick the poisonous skin and get smoked somewhere. There's a tribe mate picking frogs and listening to Stephen Wolf Magic Carpet. Right? Yeah, I don't know which the frog the the frog that you lick that gets you high. Let's see. Uh, let's see. Images. Well, I've got pictures of the frog toad licking. Yeah. Colorado River toad. Um, the frog, actually a toad that is known for its psychoactive properties when its secretions are consumed, is the Colorado River toad, also known as the Sonoran desert toad. This toad secretes a potent toxin containing 5-MeO, DMT, and bufotenin, which are powerful. I'll throw this up here. Which are powerful hallucinogens. People sometimes extract and smoke or ingest these secretions to experience a psychedelic trip. Who the F found that out? That is wild. And you know why it's wild? Because I think it's not that the first person did it, right? Because you're always going to get somebody crazy enough to do it. It's all the people that came afterwards. There's a story where a gang lord was a victim of the drug from its leaves, and he literally helped them carrying his stuff out and only knew because of camera footage in a lobby. That's funny. That's hilarious. That is hilarious. That's awesome. Yeah, the cocaine is a modified chemical from the leaf, as there is zero cocaine in them, but the compounds in it have a milder effect on the body and seem to have zero addictive properties, all while providing the coca flavor that they mimic now with phosphoric acid and other flavors. Wow. Yeah. Again. Yep. Weasel coffee. Yep. Yep. The butt weasel coffee. Mm-mm-mm. Just taking the place of a liver before we get administered chemicals. That's awesome. Oh man, TA, you're going off. You're going off. Hold on. Oh man. Sonora Desert around Tucson, Arizona. For some reason, nobody told me about those toads when I was there, probably because they knew I tried them. Yeah, yeah, sure is. Yeah, yeah, Spook. That's because that's my kind. That's kind of where I'm at. Spook says, "Yeah, Caveman 1 eats berries and shits himself to death. Caveman 2 noted." I'm almost picturing Caveman with like those little small like flippy bet books. Notes are like noted. Okay, don't eat that. Check mark, right? But somebody somewhere along the way had to be like, you know what? I wonder if we take these berries from the shit from these tree monkeys, whether it would be better, right? And roast it. It's just it's wild to me what human beings will do. But anyway, guys, I just wanted to I don't know. I just wanted to talk about the weather. You know, a lot of us here in the states are going through which I understand the UK is also going through major heat waves. You know, these unsettled storms where it's hot and you don't know whether it's going to rain or not, which today the same thing's supposed to happen. As a matter of fact, I'm surprised behind me. Um, it's probably a bit overcast. Normally, I get that big halo of light behind me, but it's a bit overcast now. Yeah, we're probably going to get some downpours of rain, and you know, in world building, I didn't even talk about the science fiction part of that. Maybe I'll continue the rest of the week about this concept. Sorry, nose is itching. Um, the fact is that you know the landscape itself and the world that it's in and the weather can be a character all by itself. I mean, if you just think about the movie Mad Max in the deserts of Australia, right? Like, there's something about Mad Max in that desert, I don't know, dark sun aspect that makes so much different than say a place that would be in the mountains. What's There's a recent movie that came out called Elevation, and there's if you're at a higher elevation, the monsters won't come up there, but you have to go down to the lower elevations with your survival gear and stuff to get medicines and canned goods for survival and whatnot. And that that makes an interesting character, you know. Um, I just think it's really cool. I could see a potion maker that makes fermenting with specific types of yeast that do, as I mentioned, with the adrephenol being converted in a modafinil. Absolutely. Even if they don't even know what it's called, I'm sure the herbalists and um, apothecaries of the past were probably doing that exact same thing. Spook is like, yeah, I got no ideas who first thought monkey shit coffee was worth trying. I'm betting. I'm sure you meant. I'm betting booze was involved. Yeah, of course, right? Like somebody had to be the first. Now, mind you, there's some good happy accidents. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that it shouldn't be done. I'm just going like, okay, the first people that did it, and it's not even the first person because the first person you could mark that off like, well, they're dumb, crazy, drunk, whatever, right? It was a dare trying to impress someone, you know, whatever. The first person, it's all those people that came after that, right? Like raisins make sense because raisins are just sun-dried grapes, and someone was like, I'm hungry and I know the grapes aren't fresh, but I'm eating them anyway. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, they're actually pretty good when they, you know, all the moisture's been taken out of them or something, and someone's like, "Yeah, they're actually really good that." You know what I mean? Like, I get that part, but some stuff, it's like, what were human beings thinking? It's crazy. Yeah, I'm so into that. Can you imagine? Can you imagine historians are like getting together and they find some ancient like scroll or something carved into a wall that they finally unearth, and they realize that all these ancient cultures all collected from one source that went to one thing, I don't know, somewhere in deepest India or Africa or whatever. They unearthed it, and it's like, you know, 22,000 years old, and they're like, we've translated it. And they go to the world and they uncover it, and they said the translation is Shh, everybody, quiet. It's I double dog dare you. All things came from double dog dares. Yeah. We're going to travel the ocean. Why? From a double dog dare. I dare you to drink that butt monkey coffee. Okay then. Oh my god. But you're right. I mean, a lot of maybe I'm making fun, and I know you are too, Spook. But to be honest with you, it's probably more real than a little bit, right? Like, can you imagine, like, you're just some no name person living out your life in history, and you go, I'm gonna sail the fucking world. Why? I don't, because somebody said I couldn't do it. I'm gonna go ahead and do that. They're like, all right, Chris. I mean, that's not really smart. No, no, no. Seriously, I'm gonna go to the French Queen, and I'm gonna get some cash. And they were like, dude, relax, take it easy. It it was just drinks from the other weekend. Relax, dude. And he's like, no, 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 no. I'm thinking you can go with me. And everyone's like, I mean, I don't want you to go by yourself. So I mean, I want to be there and see if you do it. And then some other people are like, dude, hey, dude, this dude, Columbus, he said he's going to travel around the world. And they're like, dude, I got to be there for that. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, I know it's more to it than that. I get it. Because there are also a lot of brilliant, intelligent people that had a desire to uncover something, and they couldn't let it go. That the intellectual need to uncover what it is, they couldn't let it go. So I'm sure a lot of that had to do with it. But let's be honest: the founding fathers of the United States, most of them were high and drunk for most of their adult lives. A lot of them were pretty high and high on opioids and drunk most of the time. So yeah, it's wild. Yeah. I know some people were just like the founding fathers, and I'm like, you do realize like they were like, I don't know, college bros at certain points. You know what I mean? Brilliant, but Spook says, "Oh yeah, I know the Dare method is Israel. I've done a lot of stupid shit because people said it was a bad idea." Yeah, yeah. TA says, "I've run on that Dare thing too, though it wasn't I dare you, but was you can't do that, no one can, and then go ahead and do said thing." Right, right, exactly. That's my point. Like I know I'm doing like it sounds like a couple of drinks and I dare you can't do the thing. But I mean, the Wright brothers making a plane, I'm sure that was, you can't fly. People can't fly. I mean, fly like a bird, really? And they go, you know what? I bet I could. I bet. No, you can't. You know what I mean? And then the people were like, let's be there. Let's see if he actually does it, right? And then others were like, I, I set my sights on doing this thing. I don't know if it can be done. And his brother is like, yes, you can. We ain't backing down. Mofo, I ain't scared. I'm not scared. I'm a fly. You know what I mean? Like it's there's a little bit of that push, like, oh man, if I can do the thing, if I can let me get a drink. I'm gonna jump out this plane, perfectly good flying thing, and fly with a parachute that I hope works, right? I mean, there had to be some people in the beginning to try parachutes before they finally got to the design uh, method that they did. I don't know how many failures they had, but there was some. I'm sure alcohol had a lot to do with that first. Like, all right, all right, we did a 50-foot drop. Now here's the 150-foot drop. Okay, let's make sure. Let me get some liquid courage. Liquid courage. Okay, go, go, go. All right, all right. Let's go ahead and do this thing. Right, right, and yeah, scaling too. Exactly. The Wright brothers thing was more of a scaling thing that they thought could not be scaled up like the pop boat of today. Right. It's kind of like sometimes someone will carve a thing or make a thing in their hand and they go, I wonder if this would work. And then like you said, scaling goes, wait a minute, could I make this bigger? Well, let's make it 3 times bigger. Let's make it 5. You know what I mean? And then it becomes, I mean, that, well, if you think about it, a lot of our technologies that we have today are that way too. It's really cool. You know, that's how AI systems are like shoved into everything now and stuff. We'll get into that. But anyway, sorry, had some heat waves coming through, some brownouting. My streaming service was like screaming at me, going like, "Yeah, you're not going to be able to get online." Don't even try it. Um, but as far as, if I can summarize, hard segue into the summary by the end of this, that weather, I think, is the unsung hero of really good world building, and very much can teach us like what the food, what the culture would be. Sometimes even some of their language, some of the warrior cultures, more of the intellectual cultures would be, what their clothing would be like. Um, is this a seasonal? Is in your world, are there seasons of this thing happening, or is it pretty constant, or is it very chaotic? Is it predictable? Are there people or guilds or factions or people born with a special, I don't know, eye color or hair or body mark or whatever, or chosen by the gods or programmed and whatever? Are there people that have an ability to navigate the dangers in this world? Like, hey, um, we're walking through the desert, but my blind seer knows where the water is. We're going to follow them, right? It's the we're going to have pop-up showers, and we live in a place that's very humid and swampy, or has it's jungle like or rainforest or something. Maybe we should build our homes on stilts so we don't have to worry about the flash flooding. It's things like that, and it's like, well, there's a reason why people dress in flowing clothing in the desert. There's a reason why there's homes on stilts. There's a reason why people do those things, and incorporating that into the game as a culture rather than as a racially specific thing. Like, only elves have this thing, but orcs do it a different way. Well, if it leads to the same result, I could see that maybe, but it could just be culture. All the people to the north, you know, listen, if you're in a snowy region, and you don't have any protection from the cold, 99.9% of the people are going to start to wear cold weather clothing. It doesn't matter what you look like or your age or where you're from, right? Everybody's going to do the same thing. Yeah. Or maybe the world gets very dry because a cold spell, like ice age, caused the water to be locked up in cold climate locations, then gets released when a green age happens due to global warming again. I mean, what if a world didn't have natural seasonal or weather cycles, but actual the weather follows the people who believe in that weather environmental system. So the jungle people, wherever they move to, they establish themselves, and a jungle grows there with the rainforests and the rains that come. Whereas there might be another culture that is more wintry, and wherever they go, winter follows them. And it could be anywhere on the map. It just depends on where they plant their flag. That would be kind of cool, where it's not that the map shows you where the environments are. The map only is the map is just the land itself, but the people bring it with them. Maybe river people create rivers, and the mountain people create mountains. How fast it would happen, I wouldn't want it to be 5 minutes, but that could be a real thing as well. Like, hey, we're the mountain people. We walked on these plains. Let's get these mountains growing. You know, like what geologists claim the whole of the Sahara Desert was like during the last time the polar caps were melted off, leaving it completely green instead of a desert. Yeah, I'm thinking of that writ fantastical. Like the green people left that region and left it a desert, or something like that. But in reality, the Earth has gone through numerous changes. So who's to say that that desert land that you're going through doesn't have ships in it, or doesn't have those homes on stilts still standing? And you're like, why are there homes on stilts in this desert? And then you find out historically what the place used to be. So the whole weather elemental thing. So the whole weather elemental, but it's a literal climate elemental. Yep, much larger version than just a cloud elemental or something. Yep, that's what I was thinking of. Like it's a it could be an elemental godling of vast proportions that covers dozens, if not hundreds of kilometers, and it follows the people of that are attuned to it. Or it could be shifting and moving, and the people are following it, or something like that. Whatever. Flare Fall is a TTRPG after a giant solar flare strips away a lot of the Earth's magnetosphere, and the day is almost uninhabitable from the heat and radiation while most tech is dead. I've never heard of that. Flare Fall. Kind of like my idea of a star that is a giant fire elemental, and there's a giant void elemental that feeds on that star to give night and day cycles. Ooh, that's awesome. Flare Fall. I gotta get out of here. Ooh. Let's go visit. All right. Let's share this out. Yay, it's still being stable. There's Flarefall. I'm not worried about the cookies. Create a character, join the community. Player resources, website, character sheets, vehicle combat, news updates. Cool. 20 years ago, a solar flare caused the collapse of human civilization. It's up to you to rebuild, but to impose your vision on the future on this lawless wasteland, it will take a good crew, some grit, some cunning, and a healthy dose of creative problem solving. Explosions, so many explosions. All right. Huh. Huh. Hmm. Huh. Let's go to the marketplace. Let's see what's there. Oh, I got to join a whole thing. All right, player resources. Okay, let's go back to. You got to sign in and do the whole thing. Okay, all right. But kind of cool. Kind of cool. Sorry. All right, guys. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much for. Yeah, it's just a one man show on this side of town. So yeah, rain elemental, snow elemental. Why didn't D&D do that? Seems like they were racking their brains to come up with every conceivable kind of elemental to fill up the pages. Yeah, I don't know why they. I mean, I don't know. It was sitting right there. I don't know why they didn't do that. Yeah, yeah, yep. Fire and water elementals giving birth to steam elementals. Of course it. Yeah, of course. Yep. Anyway, guys, have a great one. Thank you very much for being part of the show. I really appreciate it. Also, everyone have a great day. Stay cool out there if that's where you are in the world. Um, someplace that is very hot and humid, and I've got to go out in it right now, so I got to prep myself, get ready to go. Everybody have a great one. Thank you very much for being part of the show. I really appreciate it. Have a great great day. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace and tranquility.